Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this week's Live Lounge, and I'm so happy to have here one of the biggest stars we have in the Ummah, and I must say this is a true A-lister, especially in my heart, and that is of course Omar Regan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh Rizwan Hussein.
MashaAllah, how are you?
Name.
It's easy to say, isn't it?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Rizwan Hussein.
Well, you're named after, or rather similar to, the former president of the USA.
I know.
How did that happen? Because a lot of people say, has Reagan a Muslim name?
I know. That's what I said. Dude. Even when I went for Hajj, they was like, Regan? يعني ما معنى Regan? But it was my mother, she got married, and back when I was young, Regan was his name. And she didn't want, like my two sisters, she didn't want us to have different last names. So then she was like, I'm just going to name him Omar Regan too. And I was like, I have two older sisters, so.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Now, of course, I refer to you as an A-lister because you are of the few people we have in the Muslim Ummah that's been a Hollywood actor, has been a mainstream music producer, stroke singer, stroke rapper. You've worked with the likes of Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker, Eminem, lots of R&B music producers, and yet today you're serving the Deen. So that's why I said from the beginning, in my heart, that's the true A-lister.
I'm really grateful too, man, alhamdulillah, with this journey, because, you know, starting out, we were all young in Detroit. Then all of the artists, man, Eminem, before he was big Eminem, Eminem, Royce da 5'9", a lot of these artists I worked with, the Wu-Tang, you know, those guys, I worked with those guys doing shows and hip hop, and then alhamdulillah, later I wanted to do acting. I found the passion to do acting, and then I left Detroit, and then I went to California.
Let's start right from the beginning. So Omar Regan, as a child, what hopes, aspirations, dreams did Omar Regan as a child have?
As a child, subhanAllah, my mother was a convert. She converted to Islam. And then she also married a man who also converted to Islam. So they were both learning Islam. And I find that they were, like now when I look back, they were, whoever was teaching them Islam, they were indoctrinated with that idea of Islam. So subhanAllah, TV was haram. Like when I grew up, everything was haram. Not just TV, pictures was haram, TV was haram, music was haram, anything, everything, fun was haram. Can't have fun. So as a youngster, it was difficult because my personality, who Allah made me, you know, I was challenged. And so my father kept studying, he kept learning, he kept studying, and we started beating pots and pans. You know what I mean? He started doing what we used to call back then dhikrs.
Okay, right.
Doing dhikrs. I remember, and I wrote my first dhikr, and it was Astaghfirullah, 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 Astaghfirullah. That's my first song.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I liked it. I liked writing and coming together, and as a family, we would be in the living room and we would just have our own fun. So this is how entertainment, how I was introduced to the talent inside of me. And then my father would encourage, you know, keep writing. But we wouldn't do any music, we would just beat pots and pans, and he would say, the drum is halal, right?
Yes, yeah.
So from that point, I kept writing, and now I'm starting to write raps and rhymes. But remember, I couldn't listen to them. Right. I couldn't listen to him. So I would sneak. My brother, you know, I mean, he you know, because my father had 2 wives.
Yes.
So my brother would always, when he went home, he would come and tell me all of the latest songs and stuff, and I'd be like, how do you know all this stuff? You're gonna get caught. You're gonna get in trouble, right? But it made me write. Because I couldn't say any of the things that he said because he didn't know it. And then I remember that I actually got a hold of this Will Smith cassette tape.
Right.
And I listened to the Will Smith songs that parents just don't understand, and it really resonated with me.
What was that first song by Will Smith? Gosh, it's time he was still in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, yeah. I know parents just don't understand. Charlie Mack was the first out the limo.
Yeah.
he had a lot of songs, him and Jazzy Jeff, but it wasn't profanity and it wasn't foul. So I connected with that because that was, you know what I mean, it complimented who I am as a Muslim, and he was talking just from himself, but without profanity and all that stuff. So I was like, I enjoyed it, you know. And so I started writing. I wrote my first rhyme for Muslims. And then my father started, you know, we started doing community events. He said, go up there.
What was this first rhyme for Muslims?
My first rhyme for Muslims was, I am Abdullah, my religion is Islam. We believe our God is one. He has no daughters and he has no sons. Said, no way, Jesus ain't the son, so I think you better watch your tongue. Said, I'm trying to tell you the truth so your heart won't keep being misconstrued. But if you don't listen to what I say, you will burn on the judgment day, Islam. I was like,
MashaAllah.
and the only thing I knew about rapping was that you had to go at the people, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But I mean, that must have been a kind of received in a strange way. You were the Imam's son.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was an expectation that you would be the next Imam, perhaps. What was it like growing up in a house of an Imam, of a community leader, of somebody who was seen as the example for the community?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting because my father, as him learning, he never wanted to be Imam.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
But they just put the pressure on him to be the Imam. And then as an Imam, he's, you know what I mean, he was very sincere, which reason why people wanted him to be the Imam, like subhanAllah. And then now, me rapping was a compliment because of the rhymes that I was actually doing. So then it was like, okay, alhamdulillah, the Imam's son is going to tell the people about Allah, especially at these times that we were living in. We were in the, you know what I mean, late 80s, you know, this is like 89 and early 90s that we're putting on the community events. And so I remember just continuously writing my loyalties to one to remind people about Allah. So my father said, if you're going to do this, then you need to make sure that you remind people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, it's no good. Right. So, you know, I was like, okay. So that was all of my rhymes.
How old were you then?
I'm like 13, 14, 15, and we just kept going all the way to like, you know.
Now, when somebody's 13, 14, 15, growing up in Detroit, growing up in America, there are so many different influences. You've got music influences, you've got Hollywood influences. How did you manage to contain all of that? Because inside of you, there was an artist trying to get released.
It was trying to come out, but my father, listen, my father, may Allah yarhamu, this man is my hero, because as I look back, he was so like, we were afraid of my father, because my father wasn't afraid of anybody or anything except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
SubhanAllah.
So then, like, one thing that he always instilled in us was salat, Quran. Like, you gotta have it. And I mean, we were, subhanAllah, as children, we were scared to miss salat, you know, because of my father. Like, it was like, well, even if he wasn't around, did y'all make salat? Yes. We wanted to be able to say, yes, we made salat. Because, you know, and that's how, through our relationship with our father, it built our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's how we grew. But what I realized, my father, he kept studying. And this is where we kept growing with him as he kept studying. And subhanAllah, like year after year after year, he started saying, subhanAllah, like, I made a lot of mistakes. Like, you know what I mean? This thing, all these things are not haram. You know what I mean? I can't tell you that music is haram because that's such a wide bubble. He said, but it's the opinion of the people that music is haram. He said, I could tell you that I haven't found where the Prophet ﷺ listened to music himself, but I can tell you where the Prophet ﷺ allowed Aisha to do it, and where he stopped Abu Bakr from, you know, damaging the instruments. And he said, so it tells me there that everything is not haram, you know, and the Prophet ﷺ would never indulge in haram. So he would never say, leave them alone, O Abu Bakr. So when he was telling us this, he was like, man, he was just saying, but listen, you have to make sure that you find your intentions with whatever you're doing. So when I say I wanted to act, to be an actor, then he kept the same, what's your intentions, and make sure that you get up in the night and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, just keep getting up in the night. And honestly, from a child, we always saw him get up in the night for tahajjud.
MashaAllah.
You know, alhamdulillah. So this is on my journey of being an imam's son and studying Quran. And he said, if you writing those songs, then you better be writing some Quran. So, I mean, as young, we were learning how to recite. But I still didn't know all the rules because we were learning by just listening and repeating.
So at what age did you decide, I want to be a musician or I want to be an actor?
I was doing the music thing, and then I was really annoyed because the environment was so haram. Like, I mean, just everybody was using foul language, like some of those areas that you had to be in, even though we were known as the conscious brothers. You know, like, oh, these guys are conscious. You know, and they always invited us. Like the Christians, the people, they said, you guys always bring something good to hear. So Abu, my father, was like, hey man, you guys got to do that. You know what I mean? Because you're there and people are responding to you, remind them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
And then, subhanAllah, I promise you, people were coming to the masjid, man. They actually come to the masjid. When they come to the masjid, they would meet my father, you know, and it was very, alhamdulillah, it was nice, man. It was really good.
You know, it's a blessing to have people's ears who are listening to you.
Yes.
I've noticed that all my life, that if you're ever given the opportunity of having an audience, then what better to give them than a reminder of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because, you know, not everybody gets that audience, and you were getting that audience from a young age. And I know we had a chat prior to starting this program about the fact that you've worked with some of the biggest names in the music industry, Eminem, for example. Tell us how you came across Eminem.
Eminem, we were all doing in the same. Like Eminem wasn't signed with Dr. Dre or anything. He was putting on hip hop shows. So there would be me and my brother, who was known as SOA, Slaves of Allah. Like this was our name. It would be Eminem, who was first known as Marshall Mathers. It would be another group, another guy, Royce the 5'9", which they called them Black Wall Street. And it was Forbidden Styles. It was a lot of talented young hip hop groups. And we would come together and we would put on these big shows. And this is how we interact and I met with Eminem.
The 80s had a bit of a mix. Of course, we had the breakout of rap artists, but we also had breakdance back then, if you remember. That, you know, breakdance 1, breakdance 2.
Yes.
And that was a major influence for the youth at that time.
Yes.
So being a person who has a few strict boundaries to work within, how was that period? Because I remember as a youngster back in the mid-80s, we were heavily influenced by breakdance, and you know, the dance movement was huge at that time.
Yes.
How did that affect your work?
It just kept it. I mean, for us, it complemented us because we need in Detroit, because a lot of that was coming out of New York. In Detroit, we were wanting to build our own name. Yeah. Wanting to represent that we have this talent and this gift too. However, from my father's side, he always would tell us, whatever you do, you better be making salat. And he talked to us like that, because salat, you know, salat will protect you. I don't care what area you go into or anything. Inna salata tanha 'anil fahsha wal munkar. Right? He would talk us like that. So we'd be like, okay. So even me and my brother, we would find some place. We would hide to go and pray, so we wouldn't get all the attention. So I would be behind the door, my brother would watch out, and he would be behind the door, he would pray, you know, and then, you know, alhamdulillah, we just kept that model. And it was good times, you know what I mean? It just, for me, to be honest with you, I also was a businessman.
Right, yes,
you know what I mean? So I was like challenged with working, and because school, like my father didn't promote going to school. He promoted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yeah.
And what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, you get married, marry the young. Like, so we took everything literal. So at 17, I got married.
Subhanallah.
Right? At 19,
you're a granddad now as well.
I am. At 19, I had 2 wives.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Yeah. Because Allah said marry 2, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So in those days, like we took everything so literal of understanding and following. And of course, I messed it all up. But alhamdulillah, my children, we grew up together and they're with me. 23, 21, and 20. And alhamdulillah, they started in their life.
And recently you became a grandfather.
Yeah, I have 2 grandchildren.
I remember one of my colleagues on the tour that we're on together said, wouldn't it be amazing to have Omar as a grandfather?
You know, it's so humbling, man. I had to send you a clip that I'm grateful because I'm able to crawl around. I'm crawling around with my grandson. You know, man. He's like, ah! So and he's loving me, like, oh, he's hugging me. And I'm like, wow, subhanallah. So
now
cool.
let's move on to the acting, because the music came, and then one thing I know personally about the music industry, that it's not just about the music. There's a lot of darkness involved in that industry that sucks you in.
Yes.
And you get involved in things that you really don't want to be involved in, and it's very difficult to separate the two.
True.
You know, very few people have successfully maintained a mainstream music career and being able to be a good Muslim at the same time.
Yes,
yeah.
man.
So that was one of the reasons where you realized at a point, I can't really continue this.
Yes.
Did that happen to yourself?
It happened to me, but it was for a different reason. Because I felt strong having that crutch of my father, like, and seeing him on a regular basis, you know, always reminded me, you know. But what I didn't like was the business behind it, as I'm doing all of these shows and we wasn't making any money. So I was like, you know, and then so it was a combination. I was tired of all the nonsense because it didn't fit my personality. And it's, like you said, that dark side, that dark light, even though we were a light in the dark, alhamdulillah, not just for ourselves, we were so excited, and people were excited because finally there's somebody that's going to say something that's going to touch us. And alhamdulillah, we had some nice beats. You know what I mean? And then my loyalty's the one. Even we had an acapella.
Yeah.
And 2 of the brothers would be like, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. And so then the rap would come in. Yeah. I believe in Allah. Yeah, and it was just it was beautiful, man. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
And so people would be like, yes, they didn't even know what we were saying, La ilaha illallah. The Muslims did, because Muslims would come out and support too.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, I just got tired. And then one day, subhanAllah, I did an audition in Detroit for this. They were just like, oh, they auditioned. And I was like, oh, I want to go try it. And so, I mean, we were acting out Kung Fu movies because the only thing that we can watch was Kung Fu movies. Because my father, he trained martial arts, but TV was haram, except you can watch this Kung Fu movie. And I thought they were sheikhs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they had long
They used to wear thobes
and beards. In my mind, they would be like, Allah's name be praised.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I was like, oh, these guys, they, you know, it was the only thing on television or that we can watch that will look like us because we wore thobes, you know.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, I was like, I want to do this audition. So I went to do the audition, and the guy, he told me, he said, man, you did really good. He said, listen, this is a low budget. If you can get to California, you'll be in the movie.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
You're breaking Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was my motivation to go. And then I was like, I started losing it at the end. And a friend of mine was like, no, you getting on that. I was like, I don't have no money. I've been doing these shows. I don't have any money. You know, and my family, I was so, didn't know who I was, where I was going, what I wanted to do. And I just was like, khalas, I'm getting on the bus. If they don't, I was going to get a job at Target. I was like, man, I'm just going to get me a job. And I went to fill out the application. I said, if they don't call, I'll get on the Greyhound bus, which was a 3-day ride, right,
3
from
days.
Detroit to California.
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, they didn't call. So I got on the bus. And then I went out to California. And then subhanAllah, it was challenging because I didn't get a chance to be in that movie.
Right.
It was a test after test after test. And I mean, alhamdulillah, I'm really grateful for the journey because I started out really on the bottom, not knowing anything. The guy walking in the background. to
Well, I mean, the reality is thousands of people set out with that dream of Hollywood, and very few actually break through, and you did.
Yes,
So,
subhanallah.
you know, as we were growing up, I think iconic for us were figures like Bruce Lee,
yes,
Jackie Chan, because in a Muslim household, it was clean entertainment. It was fighting. It wasn't anything else.
Right.
You know, especially Jackie Chan movies. It was
Yes.
comedy and it was fighting.
Yes.
And you could safely sit there in front of the family. You watch the movie.
Yeah.
Nothing else
Yeah.
is going to happen. So we kind of grew up with those people as icons.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali,
Yes.
the boxer. You've got Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And then you got to work with Jackie Chan.
I know.
It was how amazing is that?
Me too, Rizwan. I was sitting here like, subhanallah. This is when everything made sense from what my father said. That it's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah can do what he want to do. That I'm standing next to Jackie Chan and shaking his hand and then playing tricks on him, pranks, because they dressed me up like Chris Tucker. And it was like, what is happening right now? It was so humbling for me. I mentioned to him Shaolin Wooden Men, like some of my favorite kung fu movies.
Yeah.
And he was like, he took a liking to me, you know what I mean? He was very busy, so we didn't hang out.
Wow.
But he was just like, oh man, Shaolin Wooden
Because
Men.
back then, he'd actually done his first Hollywood stint with Battle of the Bronx.
Yeah.
If you remember, back then. And for Jackie Chan, breaking out into Hollywood was a big thing for himself.
That's true.
You know, and I think that set the scene for Rush Hour,
Yes, it
Rush
did.
Hour 2, and then I think Accidental Spy came along after that. But when you meet somebody as iconic as Jackie Chan, are you inclined to say, hey, I'm a Muslim, this is what I believe in?
I wasn't at that time. I kept my Muslim to myself. Even though I was strong within what my father taught me, as Hollywood was new to me, and I was very like, I was shy to just, I'm Muslim, you know what I mean? I didn't have that discussion unless, you know, I had to.
Right.
You know, I would meet people and talk to people, and because my name was Omar Regan, people never ever expected, you know, that, oh, you're a Muslim, so we would never, you know, start a conversation about, you know, what, you know, religion or anything like that. So, but I would say that I thought, to be honest, when I met Jackie Chan, he was so humble and so something different than anybody else that I have met. And he was just so relaxed and so calm. I was like, man, he's just like a Muslim. You know what I mean? That's how I felt on the inside. The way he shook the hand with both, he shook my hand with both hands like this and shook it and looked into me. And he was like, yes. And then he's like, yes. And he was just so nice. Or letting other people go, grabbing to help other people.
Wow.
You know, that was, you know, I mean, he didn't have to do any of that. And I just was like, you are.
But I mean, these are the characteristics that we as Muslims should have, you know, to be, you know, very generous, to be kind, to be the most respectable character in the room, and to show that through our actions. So alhamdulillah, I mean, you've also met another of an icon for the Ummah, may Allah bless his soul, and that was Brother Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
You know, he single-handedly influenced millions of black Americans and millions of people around the world. I mean, I think where I come from in Bangladesh, everyone was a fan of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
You know.
SubhanAllah. And that was because of my father, man. SubhanAllah, man. My father, he took me and we were doing an event. And I was like, wow, I'm meeting Muhammad Ali. Like, you know, and alhamdulillah, I'm grateful. Shook his hand and he was like, yeah, assalamu alaikum. You know what I mean? And I was just like, just starstruck. I didn't even really know what to say or anything. Just like, Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
You know, yes.
Well, we're coming up to a break, and then we're going to be talking about what you started off as something amazing, Halalywood. And of course, Halalywood was the alternative to Hollywood for the Muslim Ummah. Yes. And what we're going to do is we're going to play out into the break with this clip from American Sharia that was released last year and is worldwide right now, and we'll be talking about the journey of American Sharia. So take a look at this and we'll be back after the break. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
when the city is threatened.
Jihad! Jihad! Jihad!
And the people are saying there's a Muslim crime boss, Muslim gangs.
They're all terrorists. They'll send them back to Guantanamo.
I mean, we need a Muslim cop, one who looks like them, one who can relate to them, but ultimately they work for us.
You know we go where everybody don't go. You know we go where everybody don't go. All I wanna know is that they don't really care about us.
You think I'm gonna let you on the case by yourself after what happened last time? You can forget about it.
He was resisting arrest.
He was in a wheelchair, Mo. Your partner is
That's
Mutakab.
I'm gonna go Sharia on this one. Sharia? Abdul! Are you crazy, man? This is not Arabian. You keep me going around cutting people's hands off.
You got to send Abdul back to the country he came from.
It's our job to protect this country from terrorists and suicide bombers.
كيف حالك؟
خير الحمد لله.
This is my partner Abdul, and I am Muhammad. There is no jihad in America.
You think you're above the law, but you're not above Allah's law.
Can't identify the perp.
Don't do that.
Inshallah, it means God willing, and you know He might have a different plan for you, and you know His plan is always the best.
Linda, listen, Linda, listen, Linda.
Chief, you do know all Muslims ain't Arabs and all Arabs ain't Muslims, right?
Tienes que sacarla ahora mismo.
We look like a Geico lizard with a hoodie on it.
Get that towel thing off your damn head.
Those kids run around with their pants sagging. It's always a moon sighting. Last year, a couple Muslims thought Ramadan started.
Good boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do to be a good boy?
Assalamu alaikum, and indeed welcome back. Now, what a smashing first half hour we've had with none other than Omar Regan, the A-lister for our ummah. Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah.
That's how I would describe you. Now, just before we went on the break, we
Yes.
saw that trailer for American Sharia. What a movie. Now, I was very fortunate to be on tour with you when we toured with American Sharia
Yes.
in the UK.
Yes.
Since then, of course, you're touring the US, I believe Australia,
Yes.
as well as South Africa.
Yes.
Tell us how American Sharia came about, because at a time like this, a movie called American Sharia
Yes.
is going to raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah, it did. You know, subhanAllah. I had this after being in Hollywood. I had this that I was like, man, and I left Hollywood. I was like, I don't want to do this like this anymore. And alhamdulillah, I was talking to my father, and he was like, hey man, you know what I mean? That's your journey, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding you. Remember, get up in the night, you know, and then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So alhamdulillah, when I went for Hajj, I made the same dua that I was making in my tahajjud. And I didn't make tahajjud every night. So, you know, I don't want, but I was.
Which year did you go to Hajj?
I went 2007.
I was there.
Right? Yeah, alhamdulillah. It was my first Hajj, and you know, it was very difficult for me because we had so much trials, and you know what I mean, a lot of trials on the Hajj, and I realized that it was myself, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is cleaning me up. And then, subhanAllah, I come back, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't want to be in Hollywood, and I didn't, you know what I mean, I still wanted to act, I didn't know what to do. I was like, man, it's so confusing. And the whole year, that's why I had my son, Isa, I stayed home taking care of my son because I quit my jobs, all right? So, in 2008, I went back for Hajj again. I was invited back. And I'm so grateful, and I took my wife and I took my brother. And this is the time when they interviewed me on Al Jazeera with this, you know, and there's a lot of people and they pushing me. But the rumor was that Chris Tucker became Muslim and changed his name to Omar Regan because of that clip. And alhamdulillah, from there, when Muslims start calling to invite me to places. And this is when I said, wow, wait a minute. I can write and do comedy with Muslims. And this is how I started doing comedy with Muslims, for Muslims, what we call halal comedy, where there's no profanity, there's no, what you call this, negativity. You know, you don't make people feel bad, you know what I mean? Not intentionally. Your intentions is to, you know what I mean, educate and, you know what I mean, almost the same.
I think the strong message that you put across in your performance is that we as Muslims have forgotten how to laugh.
We have.
You know.
And I know this because of my experience. And I'm so grateful for my father, because my father, man, subhanAllah, as he continued to grow, he starts telling us all of that stuff is incorrect, right? There has to be a balance. He said that these are opinions of people, and he kept teaching me, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, nujtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann. Like, and dhann is like ideas or assumptions. He says, don't fall into so many of these different ideas or assumptions. Just continue to search from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I did that, and I found that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he laughed, but they don't teach that. I found that the Prophet ﷺ was known to smile. He didn't speak out of anger. He didn't yell. And so that really motivated me. When I knew the Prophet would laugh till you see the back of his teeth, and that they had this prankster among the Sahabas named Nu'man, and that it was a real life, because the way we're taught Islam is that we're taught that everybody was just like me, holier than thou, in the sense of, but they were human beings. And they had, situations, and it just confirmed to me, Rizwan, that I can be who Allah made me to be, and that Islam will complement the personality that Allah gave me, and I can stay within those boundaries. So with that, I started traveling, doing comedy, right, around the world. Went to Philippines, Australia. Allah is kind to me. I'm so grateful. And then I said, you know what? The Muslims are smiling. The Muslims are laughing. We need our own movies. I've been in Hollywood over 10 years. We need to make our own movies. And when I had this idea, then subhanAllah, they killed my father. And that was a really tough time for me. 2009, October 28th, they used him as a reason to call him a terrorist, because he just kept reminding people about Allah. And the government, it was a, what'd you call it? It was like a movie, like rogue officers targeted my father and then lied to say that he was wanting to establish Sharia in America. And then they set him up, and the police officers, while he laid on the ground, shot him 20 times. And I had been fighting that in court, but it really put me in a tough spot. But Allah is kind, and Allah blessed me with dreams of my father talking to me. And then I made Hajj with my father in my dream, because my father was my hero. So I named the movie American Sharia because of that.
Right.
Because they said that my father wanted to establish Sharia in America. And I wanted to grab the attention of non-Muslims so that they can watch this story from us, because I was influenced by what happened with my father. So a lot of it was leaking out in the movie, but I couldn't say everything because I was fighting it in court. So this is where all of my energy went into. And alhamdulillah, I just wanted to make a difference, because there was nothing that I can do after they killed my father. And I saw, like, this movie Zero Dark 30, where they shot the Muslim in the middle of the night, then they stood over her and they shot her again in front of the Uncle G, and then they shot the Uncle G, and the kids are crying. I mean, it was okay because they was looking for Osama bin Laden. And then they got an award in real life from this movie. They got nominated for a Golden Globe. And I was like, this is so bad. I have to combat this Islamophobia, and in hopes that we can tell our story and re-educate, because masses of people are just watch TV and they just believe everything they see on TV. So for them to call my father a terrorist and put it all over the news and everything, it was damaging. Behind closed doors, they came and apologized. Well, your father wasn't a terrorist. I was like, well, I knew that, but it didn't go on the media. But what changed the narrative in the media was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the Christian pastors protested and did a press conference defending my father. Right. And when that happened, I knew that what my father had grew. He grew like I saw his growth when he started saying the Prophet ﷺ was a mercy to mankind. Muslims, we don't know Islam. You're supposed to be in a state of peace. You're supposed to be a person of peace and calmness. So if you are, and always, you're loved by everybody, and we can't stay inside of a Muslim bubble where we only associate with our own kind. We have to branch out. The Prophet married different tribes, but now even in all of our cultures, you know,
we like to stay within.
We stay within our own cultures. We don't branch out, so we're not really one body. It's just we only say it.
It must have been a horrendously difficult thing to get over to when your father was brutally murdered, and to, off the back of that, to build a career still after that, identifying yourself as a Muslim. It's a big decision to make.
Yeah, it gave me some real strong strength because of who my father was to me, and I know who he is, subhanAllah. And then the dreams that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me to have with my father coming to talk to me. And I hear my father telling me in the dream, hey man, why you upset? Don't be crying. I'm with my Lord, man. I'm in the best place ever. So I was like, I took that and it helped me. And then what my father always taught me was read Quran. And one of the ayats that held me, I had to learn it, was Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum bi anna lahumul jannah, which was one of my father's favorite ayats. You know, something they kill and are killed, and this is a promise from you from the Torah, the Injil, and the Gospel. But who's more keeping their promise other than Allah?
Yes.
And so, but it's in the ayat. It says, "Fastabshiru bi bay'ikumul ladhi bay'atum bih." It said, but celebrate, but be excited, be happy. Like, this is good. You know what I mean? And that's what I got from my father.
Wow.
That I can't sit and be sad and depressed. I have to be excited, you know what I mean? And be happy, because this is this pledge. This is this oath between you and your Lord. You know, between you and Allah. This is Allah's promise. So the things that I learned from my father hit strength. And, you know, he would tell me, if Allah like it, then I love it, and you better love it too. So I took that energy, and then I was like, we got to just change it so that this don't happen to any more Muslims.
I mean, initially, of course, straight after that, you also had to become the Imam and the Khatib for a while as well.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Which is interesting, because people be like, hey, wait a minute, man, aren't you a comedian? So it's hard for some Muslims, I don't know why, it's hard for them to differentiate, you know what I mean, what you do as work, and then who you are as an individual.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, everybody thinks that, you know, because he's a doctor, he has to be a doctor even when he's at home. Like, he can't play. You're like, oh, you're a doctor.
What was that time like when you were actually giving khutbah on Fridays and leading the prayers? And
it was very challenging, because, subhanAllah, I was in the same spot as my father was.
Right.
And only thing that I could honestly say, subhanAllah, was that I always make dua. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept and raise my father from me doing every bismillah, every salat, every takbir, because he taught me salat, he taught me Quran, he taught me how to read, you know, so anything good that I can do will give him ajr. And so that also motivated me to say, oh Allah, please have mercy on Imam Luqman, have mercy on him, man, I love him so much. And I'm grateful that Allah blessed me to do some good deeds, and I pray that Allah will accept and raise him. So that's where my motivation was going. And it was challenging, a lot of emotional on the inside to be in that spot. But alhamdulillah, I'm grateful.
Alhamdulillah. Well, American Sharia, a halal comedy, doing well throughout the world.
Yes.
Of course, in the UK, we did the tour in 2015.
Yes.
Or 14, rather. Time flies.
I know, time flies.
And then, of course, you were in Australia, you were in South Africa, you've done most of the states in the US. What's been the overall response from American Sharia?
I'm so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that everybody who sits and watches this movie, they are so excited. You know, alhamdulillah. I learned a lot from this one because I cut the trailer to attract people of other faith.
Yeah.
People who weren't Muslim. So when I cut the trailer, unfortunately, I thought the Muslims would automatically get it. But some Muslims were thinking that I was mocking Islam. You know, because I cut it without giving them the whole story. So I cut it, and the sisters are in niqab, and they're in the lineup. But I cut it there because the guy this is what he was doing. But these are all based on real events. He was antagonizing Muslims, locking them up. You know what I mean? But you have to watch the whole movie to understand it. But unfortunately, it was a lot of Muslims were boycotting me. And one of the reasons why I know is they can't even imagine you having a Muslim film. They can't imagine, how would you have a Muslim film? How is this possible? You know, something where Muslims is in it, because, you know, the ingredient for having a film is drugs, sex, violence, you know what I mean? You know, a bunch of haram. But alhamdulillah, there was no men and women touching in our movie. There's no profanity in our film. We talked about Islam, and we gave an idea of who we think is behind Islamophobia, because it's definitely not Muslims.
Now,
it's doing really good. I just wanted to tell you, subhanAllah, in the States, it's doing good. We have, subhanAllah, over 10,000 people are asking for the DVDs.
Wow.
Immediately, subhanAllah. And so now we're working on doing a major release, inshallah, because we did everything
we now have something we can identify with, which is Halaliwood.
Alhamdulillah.
And the idea is that entertainment for Muslims, everybody needs a bit of entertainment.
Yes.
So Halaliwood is going to be providing us that halal entertainment, so to speak.
That's right.
And of course, you're now making the next movie, Faithful Neighbors. What's that about?
Faithful Neighbors, man, it's inspired by the results of what happened with my father.
Right.
When my father was the pastors, the Christians that came, I saw how that changed. And they invited me to church and asked me to speak. And I'm telling everybody in the church, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Like, it was so amazing. So what I did, what my father was telling me, how the Prophet ﷺ, he said, get in touch with the Prophet ﷺ, and how he reached out to everybody. And I find how we don't do that.
No.
You know, we don't reach out. And we think that that Islam is for us, Islam is for Muslims, Quran is for us, Quran is for Muslims, but Quran is for everybody. Islam is for everybody. So even if everybody doesn't pray 5 times a day, it doesn't make them a kafir. You know what I mean? Kafir means one who covers the truth, but we think it means infidels. So I wanted to like, I've been on this quest, Rizwan, that just how can I do like the Prophet ﷺ, be good character, be warm, be loving, where people will feel that from you. You know, and as opposed to
you see, the most important thing is connecting. We're not connecting
with other human beings. You're so right.
We're not connecting, and that's, I think, the biggest problem today in the ummah is that we are disconnected. And just like when your phone gets disconnected, rather helpless situation, we need to reconnect.
We need to reconnect. I agree. 100%.
You know, I could go on and on. This interview could go on forever. However, we want to see a bit of the funny side of Omar Regan. 2 things I'm going to be asking you to do. One, of course, you have the most amazing recitation. Now, the beauty of what you've done with that recitation is that you've taken recitation, which is going to warm people's hearts, and you've taken a satirical side to that as well, when you talk about the translation as well. And, you know, some people will probably think, hang on, this is a comedy show. The guy's reciting. Is he going to be making fun of the Quran? But you're not.
No.
Yeah? So I think for our audience, this will be an amazing kind of intro to your ability.
Oh, man, alhamdulillah. You know what, actually, this here, Rizwan, subhanAllah, it was really true. This is true. It's really based on myself and my experience that I said, man, the Quran feels so good. where you would listen to the Quran and you don't even, like me, I speak English. I don't know all of the Arabic words. But I listened to the Quran and just the Quran itself felt so good, subhanAllah. So as I listened to Quran, even with the basmala, and then he says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And I was like, oh, it feels really good, right? And then when the English translation came on, it gave me a whole nother different feeling, right? And the guy just came out of nowhere, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. And I was like, whoop! He scared me. Like, why does he do that? You know what I mean? Why is he doing that? It reminded me like, you scare people? Is that what you're doing? But the Quran was God's words, and God's words didn't scare me. They enlightened me. So I was like, wow, okay, I thought the English guy was over. Thought he was finished. So I went back into the Arabic, and he was doing Surah Al-Fil. And he said, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. And I was like, oh man, alhamdulillah. And then the English guy came back on. Have you seen how your Lord have dealt with the owners of the elephant? I was like, no, cut the English guy off. I don't want the English guy anymore. Like, I can read the English translation myself because he's messing up this beautiful, enlightening feeling that I have when I'm just listening to Quran. And that Qari was just amazing. And he made me study. And I was like, ooh. And my father, he didn't give me all of the rules. He was like, he taught me how to read. And then he told me what shadda, and you know what I mean? So that I didn't know all of these terms of itgham and ghunna and qalqala. I didn't know it, right? But I was reciting, and I would always learn from everyone who was leading salat. You know, I learned my surahs and everything from them. I would go back and read it myself, but I didn't have tajweed. It was difficult for me because I'm like an on-the-job training kind of guy. I need step by step. I don't learn from just here's a book, go study it. That's not how I learn. So I was like, how can I get this? I want to get this tajweed because the way that the Quran made me feel in salat, you know how your salat feels so much better. And for myself, I wanted to, I really wanted to have strong salat. So, and I wanted that feeling even when I recite.
Right.
So I started saying, what if I need to learn these rules? What if I could speak English? In tajweed? That's what I was thinking. Like,
English in tajweed.
Yeah, what if I could speak English in tajweed? And then I was like, I went to go and speak to some qaris and some scholars. Because this idea, I didn't want nobody thinking that I'm making fun. I'm trying to find my own self because, I'm Muslim, man. I pray to Allah, never be nothing else. You know what I mean? That Allah don't make me a bad example. Just keep making me a good example. But I have my own techniques, that I want to, how I'm going to get there. So I said, English and tajweed. I can learn the rules, and then I can take those rules, and then I can study Quran, and then, oh my God, I can recite like that, and my salat will be strong, and I can enlighten, the Quran be enlightened from my own recitation. So I said, English tajweed. So I said, we need more money. We need more money, but it's in tajweed, right? So instead of saying, we need more money, we need, and I break down the rules. That's ghunna, nasal pronunciation, 2 counts. Need, that's mud, that's elongation. You hold it, 2, 4, 6 counts. Need, and this vibration is qalqala. And I was like, oh my God, now I'm learning the rules. And I was like, just with tajweed alone, you cannot even be upset speaking. So what if I was like, please watch, يعني, watch, please watch, please watch. Because there's some letters you can't do in English. Waj, BB1. يعني.
Now, one of the things about stand-up comedy that we all know about, that's stand-up comedy, a lot of people that do it,
Yes.
they have to make things up.
Yes.
Islam prohibits making up lies even if it's for satirical purposes.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a very clear rule that states, the Prophet ﷺ said that, don't make things up to make people laugh.
That's right.
So in those circumstances, you've got even further restriction as a comedian. But I've noticed a lot of your sketches are based on real life situations that you've experienced. One of my favorites is, of course, the Egyptian brother.
Oh.
Because to be able to do those nuances, you actually sound more Egyptian than an Egyptian person.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So could we have that particular sketch? Because that is my all-time favorite.
Oh man, alhamdulillah. Wait, which one is that? I got
the guy that was laughing about somebody having a car accident.
Oh yes, that's what my experience. SubhanAllah. Traveling, man. Because my father also told me the truth. He said, Omar, you're going to be doing comedy. Remember? And he told me like this. The Prophet ﷺ said, whosoever lies just to make people laugh will have a seat in Jahannam.
Exactly.
He said, you want that? I was like, no. He said, you don't have to lie. And alhamdulillah, some of the best comedians, they don't lie. Best comedy comes from your own experience. So as I'm traveling, and I said, are you serious? The Egyptian guys, they love this. One of my favorite Arabs, group of Arabs, just because they're Amr, and they have their eye. The man was walking, and the car hit him. Boom. I was like, what? The man was walking, and the car hit him. Boom. I was like, well, what happened to the guy? He says, oh, he had to get another car. I was like, but what about the guy that got hit? Oh, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I was like, oh my God. And he just laughing. Qadarullah, Qadarullah. These Egyptians, they just love to laugh, man. Alhamdulillah. He told me this story. Then he says, Umar, the man was walking, he taught his horse how to dhikr. He taught his horse from dhikr. He says, man, this horse will know dhikrullah. He will know it from English. And so he says, Bismillah, and the horse will go. And Alhamdulillah means the horse will go fast. And Allahu Akbar means the horse will stop. So Umar, one day, the man, he gets on his horse. He says, Bismillah, and the horse begins to go. But then now he's in a hurry, Umar. And so he says, Alhamdulillah, 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 Alhamdulillah. And now the horse is going fast, but he sees the cliff ahead. So he says, Allahu Akbar. And the horse stopped right at the cliff. And the man says, whew, Alhamdulillah. I said, oh man, what happened to the guy? Oh, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Oh my goodness. The Egyptians, man. Misr, salam alaikum. I hope they're watching TV1.
Subhanallah. You know what? I could carry on all day with you. It's been a fantastic pleasure to have you here at TV1. And of course, getting to know you even more. We've been on tour for 2 years and we've not really had this conversation.
I know, usually we've been really busy, man. But alhamdulillah, I'm really happy. May Allah keep blessing you, man, and blessing your work, because you can see it. I find that it's, I found this before while we're leaving out, is that it's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to be happy. And it's in Surah Yunus, it's in Ayat 58. And the Lam is Lam Amr. It's the commanding Lam, right? It says, قُل بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. And I was like, oh my God. فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. And I find that Muslims need to understand it's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to be happy. He says, in the bounties of Allah and in His mercy, as opposed to the other. You know what I mean? Because America, they scare people.
Yeah.
They run the country by fear. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is running the country. I mean, He runs the world. He runs our lives. He reminds us about the restrictions and what happens, but He uplifts us with mercy And the Prophet was sent as mercy and happiness. And I want to get back to that from among all of the Muslims. And you too, I see it with you. This is why I connect with you, alhamdulillah, and this channel and everybody involved and brothers and sisters who are watching, and remind other people that Islam is not some miserable, or in order to be sincere. The Prophet was the most sincere, right? That he didn't walk around haram, 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 haram with all of these different opinions. He always engaged, he always communicated and talked to people and gave them so much love that even if we are doing something wrong, the way he approached us and talked to us, you would feel this love. And then it's based upon from the Prophet as opposed to based upon another man's opinion or an idea. So it's important for us to get back to that. May Allah keep blessing you, Rizwan. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm so happy. Thank you for having me in the live lounge with Rizwan Hussein.
Jazakallah khair. I couldn't have asked for a better outro to that. Keep watching. Join us on Live Lounge in a couple of weeks. And a massive, massive thank you to our A-lister, Omar Regan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Until next time, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.